Good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to see A Face in the Dark, written by Ruskin Bond. Most of the works of Ruskin Bond are influenced by life in the hill station at the foothills of the Himalayas, where he spent his childhood. A Face in the Dark is a story that is set in a pine forest outside Shimla. It revolves around Mr. Oliver, an Anglo-Indian teacher. He was returning to his school late one night on the outskirts of the hill station of Shimla. The Simla Bazaar was about 3 miles from his school. He took a shortcut and was returning through the pine forest. He carried a torch with him. There he saw the figure of a boy. In the light of the torch, he found him sitting alone on a rock. He stopped there and went close to the boy in order to recognize him and said, "What are you doing out here, boy?" The boy appeared to be crying. His head hung down, and he held his face in his hands, and his body shook convulsively. It was a strange, soundless weeping. Mr. Oliver felt uneasy. He asked the boy to tell him his trouble and look up. The boy looked up and took his hands from his face and looked up at his teacher. The light from Mr. Oliver's torch fell on the boy's face. It had no eyes, ears, nose, or mouth. It was just a round, smooth head with a school cap on top of it. He got frightened, and the torch fell from his trembling hand. He turned and ran towards the school building and called for help. He stumbled up to the watchman, gasping for breath. He told the watchman that he had seen something horrible, a boy weeping in the forest, and he had no face. He had no eyes, nose, mouth, nothing. The watchman raised the lamp to his own face. The watchman had no eyes, no ears, no features at all, not even an eyebrow. And that's when the wind blew the lamp out. It is a supernatural story, and Ruskin Bond makes the supernatural look natural. Mr. Oliver has a strange experience while he is passing through a pine forest at night. He sees a boy sitting on a rock at night on the narrow path. He fancies that the boy has no ears, eyes, nose, or mouth. He gets frightened and runs towards the school building. It is the creation of his own mind. His mind is so gripped with fear that he fancies that the watchman who he meets has no eyes, no ears, no features at all, not even an eyebrow. All this makes the story supernatural. If we look into the plot-wise development of the story, we can see that in the beginning, Mr. Oliver, an Anglo-Indian teacher in a school, is being introduced. And in the beginning of the story, the author is introducing this character by talking about his daily routines. Every day evening, he visits Shimla Bazaar, which was 3 miles away from his school building. He is a bachelor and a very strong man. He visits the Shimla Bazaar and spends an evening there. Mr. Oliver takes a short route and walks through the pine forest to his school building. Mr. Oliver comes across a boy in the forest who has no eyes, ears, nose, or mouth. That makes him highly frightened. Gets frightened and he runs towards the school building and cries for help. He stumbled up to the watchman, gasping for breath. He fancies that the watchman has no eyes, no ears, no features at all, not even an eyebrow. This makes this story a supernatural one with a very natural, simple look. The story is written in the third person, narrated by the omniscient author in a simple and straightforward manner. Very apt and concrete imaginary has been employed to bring out the atmosphere of supernaturalism and mystery created in the story, creating especially to the taste of the children. The dialogues are brief and dreary, and the descriptions of the scene and the setting very graphic and artistic and intelligible. The writer has used language that helps him creating an atmosphere of strangeness, mystery, and supernaturalism. The placement of words like sad, eerie sounds, shook convulsively, racked with silent sobbing, created a strange atmosphere. The language is simple but effective in creating a supernatural atmosphere. The reader is impressed by the exactness and preciseness in the use of words. So, dear students, read the chapter well and find out the difficult words. Try to understand the supernaturalism in this story. Thank you.